Good morning, students. I am Susan Laurentia from the Department of English, Kekewag Art Science, Commerce College, Pimpalgaon, Baswant. Today we are going to deal with the paper with the Advanced Study of English Language. It is General Paper number 2 in Semester 3 for Special English students. In this particular paper, we are going to start with the organs of speech. This is the first session and it has around 10 slides. And now let us start the session. Welcome to the session. What do you mean by the organs of speech? Organs means the parts of the body that we use for the production of sound or to speak. They are called organs of speech. In our body, these organs of speech are the parts that we use to produce sound, to produce sound, or more than that, to speak a language. They are divided into 3 groups: the respiratory system, the phonatory system, and the articulatory system. हम बात करने के लिए जो organs, जो अवयव वापरते यूज करते, उसे हम 3 टाइप के है उसका. वो है respiratory system, phonatory system, and articulatory system. These are the 3 groups that we use as organs of speech. Now, when we speak about the respiratory system, it consists of lungs, muscles of the chest, and windpipe. Now, what is this lungs? Lungs, उसे हम पुप्पूस बोलते हैं मराठी में, पुप्पूस. So lungs are the 2 balloon-like structures that you can see in this particular diagram. It is the right lung and the left lung. It is the right part of that person, in that picture, that person, his right part. That is the reason why it is marked as right lung. When we are looking at this, it is the left part of us, but it is the right lung of that particular person. So it is the right lung and the left lung. These are called lungs. Of course, we know it is mainly used for respiration. So श्वास लेने के लिए हम use करते हैं. But we know that air, it comes into the lungs and goes out of the lungs. Now look at these lungs. They are very thick, right? You can see the walls of the lungs. They are very thick. They are very fleshy. Why? Because they are muscular in nature. They are muscles. Okay. So on the close to these lungs, you have the muscles of the chest. And these muscles of the chest, once these lungs are filled with air, these muscles of the chest, they will compress or they will contract. जैसा बलून के अंदर हवा जाने के बाद जब हम बलून को दबाता है वो हवा बाहर जाता है, वैसा these lungs, what happens in these lungs when air gets filled in these lungs, it will contract. दबाता है हम उसको, it is compressed. Then what happens? Air from these lungs, it is pushed into this blue colored pipe, and this pipe is called the windpipe. Why is it called windpipe? It is called windpipe because air, you know, it is wind, right? Not a very strong wind, just as the wind we have outside, but it is air. It comes with lots of force. What? जोर से आता है वो लंग से. It comes with lots of force, and it comes into this blue colored pipe. It looks like a pipe, right? So it is called windpipe. It is also called trachea. So when we speak about the respiratory system, it includes lungs. On the 2 sides you have the muscular chest muscles of the chest, and then you have this pipe or the windpipe. These 3 parts together, it forms the respiratory system that helps in the production of speech. It is the air that comes out from this that helps in the production of speech. The same what I have said in the last slide, it is repeated here. The walls of the lungs, it will contract. Contract means it is compressed. Then what happens? By the action of the respiratory muscles, it contracts or it is compressed. Then what happens? air from the lungs is pushed out, वो बाहर आ जाता है. वो बाहर आने के बाद when once it comes out, this air that passed out from the lungs, when it comes out, it is used for the production of speech sound. It is used for what? For production of speech sound. बोलने के लिए हम यूज करते हैं. क्या यूज करते हैं? एयर, हवा जो लंग्स से बाहर आता है. Thus, the lungs and the windpipe provide the air stream. Air stream मतलब हवाचा प्रवाह. The flow of air required for the articulation. Articulation means production of what? Of speech sound. Now, again, now what we are going to see is, see the same picture. I told you the air that comes out from the lungs. It is that air that comes out from the lungs. It comes out through the windpipe and then it comes out through the mouth and nose. And this air that comes out is used for production, not the air that we take in. हम जो हवा बाहर आता है वही हम यूज करते हैं. So it is called pulmonic egressive airstream. What is the meaning of pulmonic? Pulmonic means lungs, related to lungs. Pulmonary means lungs. Pulmonic means lungs. So it is the air that comes out from the lungs that is used. It is aggressive. Aggressive means बाहर. Aggressive का opposite है. Aggressive का opposite है ingressive. Ingressive नहीं है. Aggressive. The air that comes out. Aggressive air. Air stream. हवाचा प्रवाह. The air that comes out, the pulmonic aggressive airstream, is used for production of speech sound. जो हवा बाहर आता है वो हम यूज करते हैं. The air that comes out during respiration is that what we use for the production of speech sound. Now, next we have the phonatory system or the phonatory system. When we speak about the phonatory system, it consists of what? It consists of larynx, vocal cords, and glottis. Now look at this picture. This part, see, both the lungs, muscles of the chest, and the windpipe. This part is over. Next, we are going to see the phonatory system. Here you have a red colored tube. Can you see? This red colored tube, it is called larynx. And in this larynx, in this topmost portion, you have a pair of lip-like, जैसा आपला ओठ सारखे, lip-like or ribbon-like structures. These structures, they can move when they can vibrate. They move slowly when air goes inside, air comes out of the windpipe through the larynx. This vocal cords, they will vibrate. And the vocal cords that can be seen in the topmost portion of the larynx. Okay, here you have this vocal cords. And the space between the vocal cords, it is called glottis. Again, you can see the blue color here, they have shown here. There you have the vocal cords and the space between. I told you the vocal cords, they are movable. They are pair of structures. They are ribbon-like structures and they move. And उनके बीच में जो जगह है, the space in between them, it is called the glottis and it has a covering called the epiglottis. So that forms the phonatory system. So what is the function of this phonatory system in speech production? In speech production, the air, it comes out from the lungs, it travels through the windpipe, it reaches the larynx. So it has to travel into the larynx, and in the larynx you have the vocal cords. And the vocal cords, they will vibrate. And when how do they vibrate? Because when the air comes out through the windpipe, when it reaches the vocal cords, because of the force of the air, it will vibrate. जैसा हवा बाहर आता है, vocal cords के पास आ जाता है, vocal cords में जब टच होता है, vocal cords it start to move, वो थोड़ा हिलना शुरू करेंगे. And when it vibrate, what happens? Sound is produced. And then उनके बीच में, vocal cords के बीच में जो जगह है, glottis, through that again air comes out. Now, In the phonatory system, I told you, you have the larynx, the vocal cords, and the glottis. We studied now. I told you larynx is situated at the top of the windpipe. Windpipe matlab the trachea. So in the top of the windpipe or the trachea, you have the larynx. Now what you have to do is, you just place your fingers on your throat. आपके गले में आप जब बात करते हैं, आपके एक फिंगर उंगली रख के देखो, और आप एक जोर से एक साउंड बना दो, ज बोल के देखो, ज ज, आपको वो वाइब्रेशन आपको फील कर सकते। आप आपके गले में आपके उंगलियां जब रख के देखो, आप बात करके देखो, आपको वो समझ में आएगा वो कैसा मूवमेंट हो रहे हैं अंदर। ओके, so it can be felt. The larynx is situated at the top of the windpipe, and we can place our fingers in the larynx or on the throat, and we can feel the movement within the larynx. Why? What is that movement? The vocal cords are vibrating. And this larynx, it is like a projection. Okay, see, it is like a projection and it moves a little when you talk also. And this projection, it is called Adam's apple. क्यों वो थोड़ा सा apple जैसा है ना, गोल गोल है, so it is also called the Adam's apple. And within this larynx, you have the vocal cords. I told you it is because of the vocal cords they vibrate, sound is produced. And during the production of some sounds, they vibrate very fast. And during the production of some sounds, they won't vibrate much. किसी किसी sounds जब हम बोलते हैं और words हम बोलते हैं, वो बहुत ज़्यादा vibrate करते हैं, और किसी किसी sound जब हम बोलते हैं, वो कम vibrate करते हैं. For example, now say the word z, 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 z. वो लैरिंग्स के उधर गले में आप हाथ आपकी उंगलियां रख के देखो, वो बहुत जोर से होता है. और now say the word, कुछ भी vibration नहीं है. There is no vibration at all. Actually, there is a very slight vibration, but we cannot experience it. So for some sounds, they have very strong vibration, and for some sounds, they have very less vibration. And the air comes out between through the vocal cords. There's a space between the vocal cords, and the air comes out through that space, and that space is called glottis. Now, in this picture, now what happened? The respiratory system, that is the lungs and the windpipe, it is over. Next, I told you it is the articulatory system. Articulatory system is comparatively the smaller. You have only the larynx, and within the larynx, you have vocal cords and the glottis. So it is a smaller portion. And next is the articulatory system. Articulate means to speak. So the system that is more needed to speak. In order to speak, we need the system, and that is the articulatory system. Naturally, this lungs, this part is over, the larynx, this part is over. So which is the remaining part? Of course, the mouth cavity and the nose, nasal cavity. The mouth cavity, it is called oral cavity, and the nose, it is called the nasal cavity. But for the air, when you see this red portion is the larynx, and the air simply it cannot straight away, it cannot go to the mouth cavity. In order to go to the mouth cavity or the oral cavity, there is a small tube in the back portion of the mouth. This is called pharynx, and it is a small tube that you can find. It is situated at the top of the larynx, and that small tube is called pharynx. And then from there the air goes to the oral cavity and also through the nasal cavity. Okay, so this part it forms, that is this oral cavity, nasal cavity, and the pharynx. These three together, it is forms the articulatory system. Now, pharynx, it is, of course, I told you, it is a small tube that begins just above the larynx. But when the roof of the mouth, when you speak about the roof of the mouth or the oral cavity, this is the oral cavity you can find. See, here you have so many markings, but we have to study only a few. See, mainly the teeth. You can see the teeth here. Okay. And see, this is your upper row of teeth. And just behind the upper row of teeth, you have a small red portion, and then you have the hard part. वो थोड़ा कड़क है. आपके माउथ आप ओपन करके आपके टंग से आप टच करके देखो. You touch your roof cavity, roof of the mouth, the top portion of your mouth with your tongue. You can touch and see after the teeth, upper row of teeth you have, ऊपर के जो दांत है उसके पीछे यू हैव अ स्मॉल रीजन, टीथ रिज. उसके पीछे देखो पूरा छत जैसा तो वो माउथ के जो ऊपर के जो पार्ट है, इट इज हार्ड, राइट? इट इज हार्ड एंड दैट इज कॉल्ड हार्ड पैलेट. एंड उसके पीछे देखो यू हैव अ सॉफ्ट रीजन एंड इट इज कॉल्ड द सॉफ्ट पैलेट. आप आरसे पे आप मिरर में देखो, ओपन करके आपके माउथ ओपन करके देखो, यू कैन फाइंड दिस हार्ड रीजन ऑफ द माउथ, रूफ ऑफ द माउथ. देन यू हैव द सॉफ्ट पोर्शन ऑफ द माउथ, इट इज कॉल्ड द सॉफ्ट पैलेट. पीछे आता है वो माउथ, अगर आप खोल के देखा तो इट कम्स एट द बैक पार्ट. आफ्टर द हार्ड पैलेट यू हैव द सॉफ्ट पैलेट. उसके बाद you have a U-like structure. Can you see this? This U-like structure. It is called uvula. So these are the parts of the mouth that we use for the production of sound. We have lots of other parts here mentioned, but these are the parts that we have to keep it in mind. Which are them? Teeth ridge. Teeth ridge is the part that comes just behind the teeth, the upper row of teeth. You have the teeth ridge, almost like the teeth. It touches the teeth. Then you have the hard palate. Hard है वो, इसलिए उसको hard palate बोलते हैं. Then you have the soft palate, the part that comes behind the hard palate, which is comparatively soft. It is called the soft palate. And then you have the uvula. See, जब हमें गला दुखता है, हमें गार्गल करना पड़ता है, वो सॉफ्ट पैलेट और यूवुला के उधर हमें इन्फेक्शन होता है. फिर हमें देखो बात करने में भी हमें बहुत ज्यादा होता है तो हमें तकलीफ रहता है. When we have problems when even to talk. Why? Because these are the parts that we use even in order to talk. So if there is any infection here, it will help even our speaking, the way we speak. We have difficulty even to speak if this part is affected. So this part, it is forms part of the articulatory system. Then when you speak about the soft palate, it can be opened or closed. Okay, see, once again we'll go back and we'll see the soft palate. You have to keep this as a soft palate, and this it slightly it goes up and it comes down. Okay, and when it slow goes up and when it comes down, there will be change in the production of sound. So it can be closed or opened during the production of sound. See what happens when, see, in this picture, what happens? In this picture, this is opened. See, the soft palate, it is lowered actually. So what happens when this soft palate, it is lowered, the air, there is no touch, see, it's not touching. So air can escape even through the nose and also through the mouth. Okay, so these sounds are actually called oral sounds, or if air escapes through both the nose and through the mouth. Sorry, not oral sounds, the nasal sounds. Air escapes through the nose. So these sounds are called nasal sounds. More air escapes through the nose and those sounds are called nasal sounds. For example, you have the sound ma, ma. Ma बोल के देखो ma. When you say ma, if you close your nose, you won't be able to pronounce it properly. Why? Because when you say the sound ma, air escapes through the nose also. The soft palate is lowered, so air can escape through the nose also. So you have a cold. जब आपको सर्दी है, जुकाम है, सर्दी है, वो म शब्द आप अच्छे से नहीं बोल सकते, नहीं बोल पाते. क्यों? Because the air cannot escape to the nose at that time because of some block in the nose. And in this picture, the soft palate is raised. When the soft palate is raised, the nasal cavity is closed and air can escape only through the mouth. So all those sounds are called oral sounds. So oral means your mouth. So the sounds that come through the mouth, they are called oral sounds. And sounds that are produced when they come through the nose, mainly air comes through the nose. Of course, some air comes through the mouth also. But mainly when the air comes through the nose, it is called nasal sounds or nasalized sounds. And you have to keep it in mind in English, all the sounds, most of the sounds, they are oral sounds. And you have only three nasal sounds. And this is called the part of the nose, it is called the nasal cavity. So this much we'll have for this session. We'll continue the same organs of speech part 2. We'll continue it in the next session. Thank you.